Hi guys. So, in typical Tamsin fashion, I had an idea. We know what this means. Absolute chaos is about to ensue. So, I'm a crochet girly. I started my whole fiber journey with crochet. I understand crochet, it makes sense to me. I can see things in crochet, I can figure out patterns. Crochet is, I won't say easy, but I understand it. Knitting, not so much. But there are some things in knitting that I do want to make. And one of the things I've always wanted to make was a hapsula shawl. I think that's how it's said, the Estonian style. You know, the really fine, delicate lace and the whole shawl will fit through a wedding ring. Yeah, the one that expert crocheters make. But I'm like, no, I can do that. I have been wanting to do it for more years than I care to admit. And I've been plucking away at knitting, doing simple projects and stuff. Although I will say that when I first tackled knitting, I immediately went to lace patterns and that's how I learned. But I'm at the point now where I'm ready to do it. I want to make a hap shawl. But I mean, I can't do anything halfway. I could just get a nice ball of lace yarn and go to it. But no, I want to spin my own. Guess how I'm an insane person. So I have this lovely pound of white Polworth, which is springy, which I'm hoping with the half shawl, because it has to be blocked to spread the lace pattern. I'm hoping that the elasticity of the Polworth will work for me and not against me, but we shall see. Regardless, I'm doing it. And with my electric spinner, I figured tackling the lace weight would be easier. So basically, I set myself up in my living room. So in the evenings when I'm watching YouTube or whatever series I'm currently binging, I just sit and spin a lace weight, sort of. I haven't been really precise on it. I've never been a precision spinner, and I don't want to be. To me, a handspun should have character. It should be a little bit uneven. It should have a little bit of lumpy bumpies in it. Like, to me, that's the character of a handspun yarn. If I wanted perfect, I could just use a commercially spun yarn. So after this is 4 hours of plying on an electric wheel. I have 6 ounces here. It's not like a very fine lace weight. It's probably pushing more towards like a fingering weight, but it's fine enough for my purposes. And this is a 2-ply. This is a 2-ply. So I have about 6.5 ounces spun up so far. And I was going to wait until I'd spun the whole pound, but I'm like, you know what? I can't wait that long. I got to get started because I'm itching to do this. So I haven't washed this because with the lace knitting, it's going to end up getting blocked and everything else. So I'm not worried about washing it because it's not overly twisted in any way. If I had a lot of pigtails or overspin in it, I would probably wash it just to even out the twist, but it actually came out pretty darn even. I'm actually very pleased with it. So I'm going to ball up this yarn, and then we're going to pick a pattern from one of my fancy hap shawl books, and we are going to cast on to make a hap shawl, because I am clean out of my mind and I somehow think, yeah, I can do this. Why not? So needless to say, this is a long-term project, and this will probably be a series. Like, I'll probably be shooting bits and pieces of this video on different times, on different days, and all that fun stuff. but I thought I would just take you along on the journey and we can have some fun together. So first things first, we're going to get this balled up on my fancy new ball winder. So I'm going to set you up so you can see my setup for that. And I do have a yardage counter, so we're going to see how much yarn approximately we have. I could just count. I know I have a 2-yard nitty naughty and I could count and all that, but I'm going to ball it up and just run it through my yardage counter and see about where we're at. So let's get to that part. So I have my big fancy ball winder here that I absolutely adore. Here I have my yardage counter and my cell phone. We'll move that out of the way. And down here I have my Amish Swift. Now I love the Amish Swift for doing skeins. It's just what I've had. I've never owned an umbrella Swift until I got one with the, Trailer of Treasures, but that one needs some attention. So for now, I'm going to load this on my Amish Swift. Where did I put my scissors? I own about 8 bazillion scissors, and I can never find a pair when I need them. Ah, there we go. Got them. All right. Going to just cut off my figure 8 ties, being very careful not to cut my yarn. This is the problem with dealing with such fine yarn. You run the risk of cutting your actual yarn. Oh my, I didn't mark where my ends were. Well, that was incredibly silly of me, but I think I see right here. Ha ha! Can't fool me, I found the end. All right. So, we're going to go through our yardage counter. Easier said than done. There we go. And then up to our ball winder. And I'm going to tie a knot here so it kind of sits in the slot a little better. Just gives that slot a little more to hang on to than just the slippery lace weight yarn. And away we go. Now the other advantage to the meter counter is that it does provide a little more tension on the yarn. And I just have to watch, because my Amish Swift isn't 2 yards, so it's hanging loose, so I just have to watch that it doesn't get tangled as I'm going. And my yardage counter is actually counts in meters, so we'll need to do some converting, but that's all right. Oh, and it's going backwards. Lovely. Okay, well, we can still figure that out. Just take 1,000 and we minus whatever number we're left with, and that's how many yards we have. And you can see how sometimes it gets tangled. I just have to keep an eye on that. And here's the best part. It only takes one hand to run it, so I can drink coffee with the other. Oh, I got tension growing here for some reason. There must be a tangle in here. So just untangle that. Get it draping again. Now I have this attached just to a little bookcase, and there's no weight in it, so I kind of have to hold it with my legs to keep it in place. Oh, there's another tangle. So I'm just going to, it seems to be always tangling just in the same spot, so I'll just loosen that up. So this must need to be flipped so it's coming off the top. And just make sure you're always turning your ball winder in the same direction. There Now I did have to divide it into 2 skeins because it was too much to put all of it onto my knitting knot in one go. But I will join them together and make one ball. Okay, we're getting a little tangled here. Let's get this up. Usually as you get towards the end of the skein, it does tend to get a little tangled. So I'm going to go slower now so I can just keep an eye on things. Oh, my yarn came off one of the feeders. There we go. Now I'm not expecting to get an exact number off my meter. They're never that precise when it's a mechanical one, but it will get me close. Oops. Okay. Let's just untangle this. Hey, don't give me a hard time. I'm just going to untangle my yarn. Because this was a commercial prep, it's already been like stretched and heated and flattened, which is why you should steam or wash your yarns when you're done with them to make them kind of bunch up again. But I'm not doing it. So do as I say, not do as I do. But it does make for a very stiff feeling yarn. It doesn't feel like a nice Polworth. It feels like it's almost got a cotton feel to it. It's so crisp from being commercially processed. Of course, that could just be me because I'm used to working with my own wools, my own hand-processed wools, which are a lot more lively. For the most part, when you get yarn birth, it's just loops in loops in loops. The knots tend to be very few just because the way that yarn is skeined or balled or whatever. So you just want to kind of gently keep untangling your loops until you get all the yarn free. Okay, I've had enough, so we'll just cut that piece off and we'll attach our new skein there. So, I'm going to find my middle. Now, before I ball yarn, what I usually like to do is give the skein a good snap, and that kind of like breaks any connection that the strands might have to each other, especially with a commercial skein. You're going to find that they're all sort of sticking together and you want them loose. All right, so our final count on our counter is 253. So that would be 1,000 minus 2 would be 8 minus, we're going to say 50 roughly. So 750. So we're going to do 750 meters. Two yards. So 820 yards. That's what we have to start. Probably going to need a lot more than that, but it's a good start. That's a good chunk of yarn to start with. So I'm just going to pop it off here. Only I lost my centerpiece. Oh no. It must have popped off at some point. Oh well. I will find my yarn bowl and we can pull it from the outside, which is right here. So now it's time to decide on the pattern. So let's have a look at my fancy shawl books and we'll decide what we're going to do. So these are the books I have on the, I can never say it, Hapsaloo. I just call it a hap shawl. These books are expensive. I got them secondhand for a really good price, but this one I found a listing for used for 100 and I can't remember. I'll insert the screen cap here. And this one, secondhand, I'll insert it here. Yeah, you're seeing that right. It's over $600. It's insanity. But these are beautiful, beautiful books. They have, it's by the same authors. They're both by Siri Ryman and Amy Adesai. I'm not even close on those pronunciations, I'm sure. But they have all this beautiful, beautiful history of the shawls and the scarves. Then they get into the how to actually knit it. So what I am doing is spinning up my yarn to do this. Now, I don't know what makes me think I'm capable of this, because we all know, like, I shouldn't be. I'm not much of a knitter. But you can see how they call them the wedding ring shawls, because they should fit through a wedding ring. Don't mind the noises in the background. I have a crazy kitty on the run. So my goal is to knit one of these hap shawls. So what I want to do now is I have to figure out, well, I mean, I'm still spinning the yarn, but I'll need to determine my pattern. So when we get into the patterns, they have these beautiful charted patterns. So you can see how they look. Now, I will probably photocopy whichever pattern I decide to use so that I can mark it up, because I'm not going to mark up these books. See, this is the Greta Garbo. It's very, very pretty. But I don't think I can make these, what do they call them, nups? I don't know. I'll have to try. I mean, I probably can't make any of these, but I'm going to give it a shot because that's just the way I do things. But you can see all these beautiful patterns that can be put into the shawls. I'm just randomly flipping now through whatever. Oh, look at that one. So gorgeous. So these are pasque flower patterns. Oh, so pretty. Lilac leaf patterns, random leaf patterns, big leaf patterns. Like, there are literally so many patterns in these books that it can all be used on the hap shawls. Oh, look at the twig pattern. Oh, oh. Peacock tail patterns. Oh, so pretty. Oh, now we have paws, heads of grain, grain with flowers, a diamond pattern, an umbrella pattern. Like, there's just so many options. The hard thing for me is going to be figuring out which one to attempt. There's a snowfall pattern. So, oops. So that's the one book. And this is the other one. Now this one is in both languages. So Estonia, whatever this native language is, you can see that it's in that language, and then here's the English translation. And again, this one's a much thicker book, but again, it goes through the history in both languages. The whole thing is done in both languages. It's freaking spectacular. I just absolutely adore it. So then they have all the information on how to knit a scarf, how to use all of this stuff, how to do the lace edge, how to do the math to calculate things. So this one is like so useful to just make your own scarf. So we're going to skip through to the patterns. So look at, this is a scarf with leaf pattern and fringe. Look at how gorgeous that is. It's definitely something I want to try. But here is the full pattern, all charted. So again, I would photocopy this and work off of that. This one I love. I adore that. And it again has the next couple of pages, give you the charts so that you can make it yourself. And it is absolutely stunning. And out of all of this, I have to figure out which one I want to make. Now, because I am out of my freaking mind, I want to start with something less complex. So something like this one here. This is the scarf with the diamond edge patterns, but you can see that it's a relatively straightforward knit pattern in the center with the lacy edge. So this one is on my let's consider it list. Let me find my post-it notes here. Post-it notes have been found. So I'm going to stick this one up here because this is a possibility. And I'm going to flip through a few more and see what I like the look of. This book is just fabulous. Now, I could cheat and just get a scarf to start instead of doing a full shawl. That is a possibility, something I may do. Because obviously I'm being completely ridiculous in attempting this, but I'm going to do it anyways because that's just, I mean, when I started knitting, I decided I would learn with stitching or knitting lace is literally what I did. Not saying I did it well, but that's literally how I jump into things is I just go, oh, that's pretty. Oh, I really like that one. I just go head first into things and hope they turn out. I like that pattern. That's a scarf with a diamond pattern. All right, I am going to put a sticky note there. I'm only up to page 95 of, looks like almost 300. This is amazing. I love that shawl. That might be a winner. All right, well, I'm just going to flip through and find some options, and then I shall show them to you when I have them. 1 second. So I have 5 patterns marked here. I'm going to start at the back because in the back of the book they have triangle shawls. So here's this one, And it is the scarf with the seagull pattern. And this one's done in black, but it is gorgeous. Look at that. I would be doing it in white, of course, but I love the pattern. And this is just a triangle scarf. So this might be an easier try for me. Then we have this one, which is a flower garden pattern. And it looks like that. I think it's really pretty. Then we'll go further. So this one is a scarf, so it's not a full square, it's more rectangular. And this is the plate pattern. Like, look at that. So pretty. There's the picture of that one. I just love this combined with this thicker edging. And this border is lovely too. But you can change this border for any of the patterns that are in here. They tell you how to do that. And then there's this one. This is the scarf with the diamond pattern. Hold on. There we go. So there's how it looks. I love that one. I think that's really gorgeous. And then there was the first one I came to, which still may end up being the one I do because I love this. This is so gorgeous to me. I don't know. We'll have to see. But for the moment, I have an idea on what I would like to do. The question just becomes, can I do it? But first, I need to finish spinning my 2-ply. Now my 2-ply is probably not going to be quite a lace weight, so my hap scarf is probably not going to fit through a wedding ring, but I am definitely going to give it a go. I got to be out of my mind. All right, I'm going to get back to the spinning. I just needed something that I could look at to keep me motivated to get the yarn finished so I can start the stitching. I'm excited and a little bit out of my mind. Okay, maybe a lot bit out of my mind, but still, I think I can do this. And if I can't, well, you know, at least I'll have tried. All right, I'll check back in when I have some progress. So, after much hemming and hawing and looking at pictures and reviewing techniques and everything else, I figured if I'm going to do this, let's go all the way. So this is the shawl pattern I have chosen. Probably out of my freaking mind, but it's the one that speaks to my heart. So I'm going to do it. So because I don't want to use the $700 book, I photocopied, lightened it up a little bit. I have my little pattern holder, which is magnetic, so I can stick my pattern on there. I have a little tablet holder that I use to hold this near my chair. Use a couple of magnets to hold on to it. Use the long magnet to mark where I am on the chart. And we're going to go and cast on. Probably out of my mind, but I'm doing it. That's just all there is to it. I'm just going to do it. As I said, it's something I've thought about for years, so there's no reason for me to not try. I mean, what's the worst that could happen is I stitch and frog and stitch and frog and stitch and frog and eventually give up. What have I lost? Nothing really, except some time, which I'm going to spend doing fiber stuff anyways. So it's not a big deal. All right, I will check in when I have some progress to tell you about, or some non-progress to tell you about, or the 8th frog that I have to do in my progress, but we'll see what happens. See you a little bit. Okay, let's do an update on the hap shawl. So my original pattern that I picked was this one here. Let me see if I can find the picture in the book again. So this was the original pattern that I had picked, but these, oh, don't mind my broken fingernails. These nuts were just, it was hard. So I have notes here. I did, twice I tried it, twice I frogged it. And I think the furthest I got in the pattern was to right there. So after I frogged it, so that was 2 frogs plus a third start. So I guess technically that would be 3 frogs. So after that, I decided I was taking too big a bite. I needed to scale back a little bit. So I went back through the patterns I liked, and I chose this one instead. So it's a much simpler, just a straight lace pattern. And I figured I'd have a much better chance of doing that. So I just did a photocopy. And then I did a blow up because I'm old and I can't see. So this is where I'm at right now. This is the row I'm on. So I'm almost done that first border before then I start with the middle pieces. And here it is. Now this is my first attempt at this pattern. And you can see that I have completely mucked up all these leaves. I've been doing good at catching my number of stitches being wrong or my repeats or whatever. And I've had to tink back a couple of rows to realign because I've missed a stitch somewhere or something. And I've learned how to do the Norwegian purl and a new cast on method. So 2 new things that I've been doing. But you can see that I've definitely these triple decreases are supposed to line up, and they so do not because I mucked it up. But I am getting better at keeping like with like my triangles and my little leafy things will do line up. So that's progress. But the thing is, there's a lot of mistakes. Now, I often find this with crochet patterns too, is my first attempt, there'll be a lot of mistakes and I'll have to stitch for a long time before I get a feel for the pattern, which is the point where I'm at right now. I'm pretty sure that I've now got a feel for the pattern, but I want to redo it. I know, all that work and I'm just going to frog it. But when we look at the size of yarn versus size of needle, okay, this is going to be stretched and blocked. And I don't feel like it's lacy enough. So I think while I frog, I'm going to up my needle size. Now, these were my birthday / Christmas present from my husband. Even though he's deceased, he still needs to buy me a birthday / Christmas present, right? I think that's fair. So hold on a second. I'm going to grab them. So he bought me this beautiful, I'm not sure how you say that. Chiago. I have no idea how you say it. All I know is they make fantastic needles. So this is an interchangeable set. And it comes with the cables for the 2 sizes. So this is like quality knitting stuff. I decided to splurge. So what I love most about these needles is the joints. Now with circular needles, this join here is often a spot where your stitches snag, right? This one is so smooth, it just glides over it. Now, granted, this one's a little loose right now, but even with tight stitches, it just glides right up on the needle. There's no snagging at that join. It's beautiful, like fantastic. And these cables are plastic wrap metal, so they don't have the memory that you get with plastic cables. I'm going to show you because I'm taking this off to frog the whole thing. So we can just pop it all off. There we go. So that's the cables, no memory. It just perfect, right? I'm loving these. I had a couple of individual pairs, but they are quite pricey. I think I paid 20 bucks for a single pair of circulars. So I figured I would go whole hog and get the interchangeable set. And they are, I don't know if you can see that, they are laser engraved with their size on them, so you know. I know what size I'm using because there's an empty slot in my interchangeables. So we are using a 4mm right now. I think I'm going to go, I do have a 4.5, but I think I'm going to go right up to the 5 because my lace weight is more like it's more like a fingering weight. So I think I'm going to go all the way up to size 5 needle. See, size 5. And I'm going to just twist them in. And I do like the size of this cable. It's just big enough to hold all the stitches without bunching them up too much. So we'll twist that in. And then we have a little T-pin to tighten up those joins so they don't untwist while you're working. There's a little hole and you just pop this through and tighten down your needle so it doesn't untwist while you're working. And I did read a ton of reviews and do some research because that's my nature, and people have gushed about how these don't untwist while you're stitching, and so far I've had absolutely zero issues with it, so that's a good thing. There's also included in the kit is some end posts and some connectors, so if you want to connect a couple of your needles you can. So that's where we're at with the Hap shawl. So I will mark my frogs. I have a score right there. I will fill that in with 1 frog. I'll finish frogging this back onto my ball. Now I was working on doing a pound of fiber into a lace weight, and I am down to my last bit, which technically like my last bit. Spinning the singles is probably still going to take me another few days, and then I will have to ply it all, but that's fine. I've still obviously got plenty of yardage here, especially since I'm starting over again. But I mean, as far as being a very inexperienced yet ambitious knitter, I think it's actually going well. I know it doesn't seem like it's going well, but in my opinion, for my expectations and knowing my ability, I do believe that this is going well. Let me think now. We've been about a week on this now, and that's not putting in a ton of time towards the knitting. So a week in the knitting progress is actually very acceptable to me. I don't know, some people might be going, what, are you out of your mind? I would have quit by now. But when I get these ideas, It's something I do have patience for. And making a hap shawl has been something I've thought about and wanted to do for more years than I can count. So to me, this part of the process is the learning, and that means the messing up and the frogging and the trying again and the adjusting expectations, such as going to a simpler lace pattern. Now, if I manage to finish this, let's be realistic. I believe my second project will then include the nups, noops, nips, whatever you want to call them. And my goal will be to learn to do those, but I will pick a project where there's only one per motif, as opposed to a motif made up of them, because that was obviously way too ambitious for me. I don't know what about me made me think that I could just, yeah, I'll get it, no problem. I am in no way an experienced knitter. I am in no way like an expert at any of this stuff, and I'm just going to keep trying. Oh, wait, here comes Bobbo. Time for a cat meow. Hey, baby. He just came in from outside. Cat paws. Oh, I can tell he just came in from outside because he's all wet and dirty. There he goes. He's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm a cat. Now I got mud all over me. It's actually a very mild day here in what's supposed to be Canadian winter. So all the snow that we've gotten so far is melting. So the catio is a mess. You'd think they'd want to stay inside, but no, they're outside playing around in the muck. All right, I'm going to stop babbling and I'm going to cast on again for attempt number 2. This version of the shawl. Technically, this will be 3 on the first one, so this will be attempt number 5 altogether. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to do this, darn it all. All right, I shall check in later when I have some more stuff to report. Okay, let's update on our hap shawl progress. So, I got this far on the original before something became so messed up I could no longer stitch it. So I thought maybe it's the unevenness of my hand spun, but you can see how the pattern's sort of turning out. It's there, but I thought maybe it's the unevenness of my hand spun, so I decided I would work with mill spun and see if I could get a little further. So I had this blue silk lace. This is dyed by Fleece Artist. No, Handmaiden, sister company, out of New Brunswick, Canada. It's very, very pretty. So I attempted that. And I very quickly discovered that silk is not what you want to use. It has like no stretch because it's silk, right? So it became very, very hard to knit into those stitches. It shouldn't have, I know, but it did. And I decided, okay, I'm just beating my head against a brick wall here. Again, frustration. So I frogged that attempt. And then I decided, okay, let's try working with the bigger yarn to start until we get used to the pattern, so we could see more clearly our stitches. So I grabbed a fingering weight and I just did like a short panel. It wouldn't be the full length of a shawl. This is just a couple of repeats of the pattern. But you can see that I actually got it done. So this would be what the overall pattern would look like with this center piece here. Hold on, let me hang it this way. So this piece here would be repeated over and over so that it would have this border, then this center piece, and then the border again, and then it would be fully enclosed with this, and then have the lacy edging added on. So you can see that I got adept at seeing where the stitches are and making them correctly, and I'm very, very pleased with how this looks. But it is not nice and lacy like a hat shawl should be, because even this little bit is not going to go through a wedding ring. So, decision time. This is a lot of work done here, but it's messed up. So I'm debating on whether I should just frog the whole thing and start over, or if I should find I'm sure I have a wool in a lace weight somewhere, and start working with that. Regardless, I'm starting over again. I could try to save this, I suppose. I could do like a row of straight knit and then try to pick it up along the way, but I don't know. I think there's just too many errors in this. I don't mind a couple of little errors that I can fix on the next row, but I think there's just too many on this one. But it is like super stretchy, so it will give that nice lacy texture. Now, granted, this probably still isn't going to be thin enough to go through a wedding ring. Well, maybe, because it has to go through a men's wedding ring. It might work. But I don't know what to do at this point. I think I may just trim this off and just start working with this. And just go for it again. I know this is just getting so frustrating for everybody, right? Just give it up. But I don't want to give it up. I don't want to. I mean, my skills probably aren't up to a half shawl yet. But I'm not ready to quit. I'm not. So I think I am just going to trim this off, and I'm going to start again with this. Yeah, that's my plan. So this would be like frog 8, 9. It's getting up there. But regardless, I am determined to get somewhere with this. And I think by the time I get to this, it's looking much more even. So I think I will be okay to work with this. I don't want to start again and then have to start again. I think I'll find a wool lace, commercial lace weight to work with, because the silk is just, there's no stretch in it, and it was just frustrating me too bad. It's gorgeous. I mean, look at that. It's so pretty. But I need something with a little more stretch. So I'm going to go see what I can find, and I'll come back and show it to you, and then we'll get started on our next attempt. Okay, I rooted around and I found this bag. This is going to be my compromise, and hopefully it's going to work well. I got these from Knit Picks. These are their Stroll Gradient Duos. So they're actually fingering weight. They're designed for socks, so your 2 socks could match up. But I want to use this color, so I'm going to open it up. This is a pretty fine fingering weight. So it's not quite, here I can show you. So it's not as thick as this one, but it's not as fine as the lace weight. But I think it is fairly fine. It doesn't look that different on camera, but trust me, it's very different. Get started. So here's my color palette. I know it's supposed to be just white, but until I get all the way through one, I'm not worrying about keeping it white. It's going to be multicolored, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to go and cast on again. I sound so defeated. I'm really not. I'm determined I'm going to get through this. I need to do it. And there's a bubble. He says I can do it. Don't you, bubble? He's like, I say, put me down. Yes. My sweetie pie. All right, I'm off to get working. Editing Tammy here. As I was editing up this video, I realized I never shared my success with you. This was where I had left off, was working with this stroll sock duo thingies. And oh my God, I can't believe I didn't share with you how excited I was that I actually did it. Now, I didn't go full-sized because the point of using this yarn was just to be able to see the patterns and be able to stitch it. And look at how gorgeous it turned out. And I love it with the colors. It's not the full size of the shawl, but I did it. And you can see the difference between where I started. These were my stitches at the start. And as it goes, it just gets better and better as I get better and better at the pattern. So I did like quite a few repeats of the middle, and then I just switched to the square, the outside square, finished it off once I was feeling very comfortable with the pattern. And then after I did this took about a month. Another couple months later, and this is where we're at. We've been working on this for months. So here's the pattern. And here is the centerpiece of the shawl, finally done. I did it! Is it perfect? Hell no. Is it done? Hell yes. This is Polworth that I spun. And I spun up a pound. I did not use the whole pound. Now, a few things about the Polworth. Does not like to be a lace weight. So for the next time I attempt this, yes, there will be a next time, even though this took me like a dozen restarts to get to this point. I'm still really happy with it. But I will use something with a little less spring to it that'll spin into a lighter weight lace weight, because this isn't, it's more like a fingering weight than a lace weight, but it's my hand spun and it is the centerpiece of a half shawl. And I am just so excited that I did this. But next time I'll use a long wool, probably a BFL, to make a finer lace weight so that the stitch pattern will be more open. But I did it. I did it! Now, the other part of a hap shawl that's important is the border. So let me just find there it is, the lace edge. So this is the lace edge for this shawl. And I don't know if I'm going to get to it right now. I think I am absolutely burned out on this shawl. Because when it comes to the lace edge, let me just show you. Hold on. We have to do all the maths to figure out how to do the lace edge. Now, here is our formula for figuring out how to do the lace edging. And every time I look at it, my brain just goes, I can't do it. I can't do the maths. It's just, it's too much. Well, that's the English version. But there's like 2 pages on how to calculate how to do the lace border. So as simple as the lace border is for this shawl, I think for now, I'm going to take the victory of getting the center panel done and call this a done project for now. I think I have enough of the Polworth left over maybe to do that edging. I'm not entirely sure, but for now, I think I just want to take a break. It's literally been months I've been working on this. Like, this was my first completed sort of panel. I ended it short, but I was working with a commercially spun sock yarn for this one. So that was my first success. And that's what spurred me on to work on my handspun version. So I think for now, I'm going to put this aside, and at some future date, I will do the lace edging and finish it off, because I have to at this point, right? Like, I've gotten this far. But I'm going to give it a break. I'm going to post this video as is, and when I get back to doing the lace edging, I will update you. But until then, this is it. This is my 3-4 month, maybe 5 month hap shawl project. Oh, it's so stretchy. See, this is why I think a Polworth doesn't like to be lace weight, is it's just got too much spring to it. But that is my hap shawl as far as I've gotten it, and I'm going to call it a success, regardless of not having its lace edging. So hopefully you enjoyed this long struggle. Just remember the little persistence. You can do these things. Okay, a lot of persistence. You can do these things. As frustrated as I got, I am still very happy with the end result. So thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.